Hey guys, it's Soham again from Team 16197 Swarm, and today I'm going to be describing how to create your first part. In this video, we'll be creating a part to adapt a rev bearing to hold a 5mm hex shaft onto a Go Build a channel. You might use this if you have rev components such as rev mechanism wheels, but also want to use Go Build a components without having to buy completely new parts. This can be useful for a lot of teams who already have existing parts and don't have the budget for newer parts. To create a bearing adapter, we're going to start by creating a simple rectangle that mounts to these Go Build holes and can hold the rev bearing inside of it. This piece can be 3D printed. Let's start by figuring out exactly where we want this bearing block to go. To make it easier to see the contours and dimensions on this part, we can go up to here and click this top feature. This will make it easier to see the definition and different features of this part. Now we want our part to be fully constrained, so let's not rely on these slots over here. We can make it big enough to go from here, around down here, over here, and then around here, in one big rectangle, and bolt to these 4 holes. Let's start by defining those holes. Use the measure tool to measure the distance in between these holes. If you don't know how to use the measure tool, check out our previous video on using it. This dimension is 16mm. This dimension is 32mm. Let's go back to original part. Start by clicking Sketch. Here you'll be able to select a plane you want to sketch onto. Let's select the top plane. Let's start by creating a rectangle with those dimensions. Let's create a center rectangle. Now click here for Smart Dimensions. Smart Dimensions allow you to easily dimension different parts of your drawing. Let's go here and set this to 16mm. And this to 32mm. You can change the units down here, so you don't have to type in the units into the box. Now that we have this basic shape, let's add some holes at the corners. Click up here for the circle tool. Now let's draw some holes. When you 3D print something, generally holes shrink, and since we have 4mm holes in the Go Build a channel, and the 3D printed part shrinks, let's make these 4.2mm in diameter. As you can see, sometimes I'm using a smart dimension and sometimes I'm just typing in the dimension. This is a setting that can be turned on and off automatically through the sketch settings, found by going here. Let's create all these holes. Now let's create a bigger rectangle around this entire part. Let's make it a little bigger than what we already have, but not too big. Now let's make this look better by adding a fillet to the edges. Click up here. Now let's click these 2 edges. Then click these edges, and then click these edges. This radius is really big, so let's go over here to reduce the radius. That looks good. Now let's create the hole at the center for the bearing. Go back to the circle tool and go back to the center. If you're at the center, you'll see this tiny little yellow thing right next to your pointer. Those are generally snapped lines. If you see here, you can see that it means we're on an intersection. You can also snap to centers or draw out from a center. Now let's see what size to create the hole. Let's go back to the bearing by using Control-Tab. Again, let's make this easier to see. Click Control-M and do this to measure the diameter, which is 12 millimeters. If you're also measuring diameters, you can always click on a curve and then see the diameter down here. Again, since our 3D printed part shrinks a little bit, let's make this 12.1 millimeters in diameter. Now let's exit the sketch. Go here and click Extruded Boss Base and select all of the areas we want to lift out of the page. As you can see, selecting different areas lifts them out of the page. You can select this area, then deselect it, because we don't want that area. Now let's check the height. You can either drag this to change how far up and down you go, or you can change the height here. Let's make it 3 millimeters thick. Click the check mark to finish. Now you have your first part. Let's save this. Congratulations, you've created your first part. In our next few videos, we'll be showing you how to use this part in assemblies and how to add more advanced part features and use different things on your parts. Thanks for watching.